Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And I'm going to start this video off with a little bit of a story. This channel has kind of evolved into more of a me channel, a vlogging channel as it were. And I want to share with you guys the negatives as well as the positives. Nothing super serious, but I feel like a lot of vlogging channels tend to, how should I say this, accentuate the positives and, what's the term? I'm way too tired right now to come up with it. Minimize, there we go, minimize the negatives. And, well, story goes like this. I had a terrible day at work today. I had an awful day. And it wasn't like I walked out of work upset or annoyed or peeved or even a little pissed off. I walked out of work angry. I mean, angry. Like, full on toss my cell phone into the passenger seat of my car, slam the driver's side door as hard as I can, and then, palm smack the crap out of my steering wheel. And I'm not going to get into why that is, but the point of this is that after a few seconds, I reached over to the passenger side and grabbed my cell phone and opened up Spotify to figure out what am I going to listen to on the way home from work. And right there on my home screen on recommended, it had the Phantom Menace soundtrack. I listen to a lot of the Star Wars soundtracks, so it makes sense. I clicked it, put down shuffle play, whatever, connected my Bluetooth to my phone or to my car or whatever. And normally when I listen to the Phantom Menace soundtrack in particular, I gravitate to Duel of the Fates or the Pod Race track. I can't remember the name of that. Is that Anakin and Sebulba, or Anakin defeats Sebulba, or something like that? Panaka and the Queen's Protectors. More dramatic tracks like that. I skipped over all of those, and I skipped straight to Jar Jar's introduction and Swim to Ota Gunga. All one track name. And it put a smile on my face. And that made me think about silliness in Star Wars, and at least why I personally enjoy silliness in Star Wars, and why I personally feel that it's necessary in a lot of ways. And I've thought of at least 3 big reasons on my drive home from work as to why. Number 1, and clearly the most pertinent reason, is plain and simply, sometimes you need it. I needed it today. I needed to think about Meeber Gascon. I needed to think about what Jar Jar made me feel when I was 8 years old. Not the way he made me feel when I rewatched it as a angsty 17-year-old. And where I thought I needed to be cool by not liking the prequels. I needed to think about the dumb in Star Wars and to just be reminded of just, you know what? Life can be simpler if you just don't worry about it. Actually, this is probably going to get me demonetized, and I apologize if you're a younger viewer or if you watch with younger people, but the F-bomb inbound. I've been listening to a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And, man, that's the nice thing about Star Wars, the silliness in Star Wars, is that it can make me not give an F about all of the ridiculous crap in the world, or all the ridiculous crap that I might have to deal with on a personal basis, or anything like that. It allows me to just be a little bit more free and a little bit more carefree. I can just sit back, relax, and laugh at the dumbness that is Zero the Hutt. Hello there! Reason number 2 is basically and this is usually my reason for liking the dumbness in Star Wars, is that it reminds me to not take it so damn seriously. Like, you guys see up here, you guys might see these, and I don't think the camera's going to pick this up because I've started shooting in 1080p. But that is Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is a serious character. The blue guy right here. Right next to him, that's an in-the-box mint condition Zuvio. Constable Zuvio. He's a meme. Because, well, he was so cool and da-da-da-da-da, whatever. And then he never showed up in The Force Awakens. He's one of, I think, 3 unboxed figures out of the Black Series line that I own. I keep him because it's dumb. And because it reminds me to not take it so bloody seriously. To not still be angry about a movie, say 8 months after its release. Just saying. It reminds me to not care about Star Wars a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong, Star Wars clearly means the world to me. I said this on Twitter when I was being dumb and actually engaging with the trolls on a Ryan Johnson Twitter thread, but besides the point, I said this on Twitter, and that is, plain and simply, that Star Wars is the basis of my spiritual, or if you prefer the term, religious identity. Like, seriously, I'm not, one of those, I don't identify as Jedi on my census papers or whatever, but I do, like, when you do apply science to spiritual belief, I am the universe. You inside of this camera, you on the other side of this computer monitor, are the universe trying to understand itself. All of us, all of this glass, all of it was forged in the same split-second moment that is the Big Bang. And then after that, that matter, that carbon and all that, building blocks of existence all coalesced into some gaseous cloud that then became a star and then exploded and then became our solar system, or whatever the history is. But I do believe in an interconnected field, an interconnectedness. I may not be able to change people's minds by going like this, but I can change people's minds maybe by speaking. There are certain parallels. I don't believe in superpowers, but I do believe in that kind of thing. All of this is to say that the Constable Zuvios of the world and the Jar Jars of the Star Wars universe and the Zero the Hutts of the Star Wars universe and the Space Whales of the Star Wars universe and the everything of the Star Wars universe reminds me that, you know what? It's a silly space movie. It's okay. And my cat just ran headlong into the closed office door. Sorry about that. But it reminds me to just not care a little bit. And sometimes you need that. Number 3, and another big reason that might help you if you are struggling with some sort of silliness in Star Wars. Because let's face it, the fandom does have a serious issue with silliness. Especially the adult side of the fandom, obviously. You've got the backlash to Forces of Destiny. You have the backlash to Jar Jar back in the 90s and in the early 2000s. You've got the dislike for a lot of things in Rebels because Rebels was more kiddish than the Clone Wars was. You've got the annoyance with Sky Guy and hello there and whatever in the Clone Wars even. And I get that. And I hate whataboutism. However, there are certain things that, at least on the surface, to me, are just as silly as those things that were super controversial with the fandom. Like, let's go to the Untouchable movie. Okay? Let's talk about Empire Strikes Back. There are 3-foot-tall pigmen There are gigantic space slugs, which I guess might be different than space whales. Honestly, I don't know how. You've got lizard men. You've got a tiny little shriveled frogman in Yoda, who's supposed to be the greatest warrior of all, and he talks all backwards and silly and weird, and he's very clearly a Muppet. But that's okay. But space whales aren't. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to dislike something if you like something similar, or at least that might be on the surface similar, but I urge you to analyze that similarity, as it were. Figure out what is the difference in between this thing that's silly that doesn't annoy you and this thing that's silly that does annoy you. Because then you can kind of articulate that instead of just, scream about fathiers on Twitter. Anyways, I was mainly making this video, A, to kind of vent, B, just to talk to you guys a little bit, C, maybe this helped you a little bit if you had some sort of annoyance with silliness or whatever. I'm in no Joseph Scrimshaw, Force Center Podcast Network. Go check it out. He does a show called Star Wars Counseling. It's absolutely incredible. But maybe this might push you in the right direction towards understand a greater acceptance for silliness in Star Wars and be okay with watching the D Squad arc, even if Meeber Gascon might rub you the wrong way. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead, import this, probably watch the first episode of the D Squad arc, and then go to bed. Thank you guys as always. And as always, may the Force be with you guys. Take care.